Hi, Mike from the rural Montana family. I was going to make this video electrifying, but unfortunately I couldn't. Let me explain why. It is mid-August and we have stage 2 fire restrictions here in Montana in the National Forest. This year's private property. This is our property. So we kinda don't have to adhere to the restrictions, but we kinda do, because obviously we don't wanna light the fire here either and create a wildfire. That would not be good. So in order to prevent wildfires, I was hoping I could shoot this video today using an electric chainsaw. Unfortunately, the research I'd done revealed that electric chainsaws are still pretty expensive and do not really work that great. I mean, they cut super fast, they're super strong, they're quiet, and there's no sparks coming out of an exhaust that could light the wildfire. Also, there's no hot, super hot exhaust that when I set it down in the grass that will light the wildfire. So those are all good things. But they're still not made for really be used hard. They may work for light use somewhere, maybe in town, to trim a few branches off a small tree. But out here we got relatively big, tall trees, big around, and these chainsaws, well, first of all, they have a tendency to overheat, these electric chainsaws. Or the battery overheats, and then they'll just shut down. And well, we can't have that. We need to keep on going and get this job done. We don't have endless time. So that is one of the reasons. Another reason is when they started making electric chainsaws, they forgot they cannot just take the gas engine away and put an electric motor there that has basically the same horsepower and off we go. That's not how it works, because a gas engine doesn't have full torque and full horsepower from the start all the way through the top RPMs. A gas engine has curves, has a horsepower curve and has a torque curve, and they kind of go up and down. And horsepower and gas curve don't match each other. So you don't even get top horsepower and top torque at the same time. What that means is that the stress on the chain and the stress on the bar is much lower than if you would use an electric motor, because the electric motor has full torque, full horsepower, basically at the same time. There's basically two straight lines and they're basically at the same spot all the way. So with an electric chain, there's always full horsepower, full torque there basically. And that's right off the bat, and that's extremely hard on chains. And so when I read all these reviews, well, first of all, batteries run out quickly, motors overheat quickly, chains jump quickly, and bars wear out quickly, as well as the sprocket that drives the chain wears out really quick. They're just not made for electric motors, those chainsaws. They're made for gas motors. And so if I would have bought one, they're still pretty expensive. I wouldn't be happy with it, I know that. And I need to get this job done. So I had to revert back to the old-fashioned gas-powered chainsaw, which I know I can keep going. Yes, it's a little higher risk in this dry weather. We have extremely high temperatures. I believe it's about 90 today, and we're probably in the teens for humidity, so super low, perfect fire weather. But we got to get this tree down before a winter storm gets it down. So this tree has been dead for a while. This tree has already brown needles. Most of the needles came off. a lot of the bark already been gone because woodpeckers came around pecking at it, because this tree is infested with bugs, and those bugs most likely killed this tree. So a little tiny bug can kill this huge tree here, no problem. The tree's been dead probably for a year or two at least. The needles don't turn completely brown until they're about a year dead. There's so much moisture in this tree that it will keep the needles green for quite a long time, and you can't necessarily really tell. So this tree probably been dead last summer, but looking at it last summer, it just looked like some of these other trees here that have some brown needles and the needles fall off, but those other trees are not dead, but this tree was. Just couldn't really tell real easy. But that is fine, because if it's standing here and still has green needles, it's usually strong enough to survive a storm. But now it's August, and so September, October, we're definitely gonna have some heavy storms, wind storms, rainstorms, snowstorms will be coming. And we don't want this tree to just fall all of a sudden, because it may fall over this way onto the round pen, or it may fall over that way onto our hitching post. That wouldn't be good. Even worse would be if somebody is out here feeding animals, tending to the animals, and the tree would fall on them. That would be really bad. This tree is sad that it died, but we'll put it to good use. It will become firewood for our boiler, and it will heat our house. And a lot of people say, well, you can't burn that tree, you know. Your carbon footprint, you gotta watch it. Well, if this tree just stands here, eventually falls, all the carbon that it absorbed will come out of it anyway as it decomposes. It will come out a little slower than if I burn it, but it will come out, no doubt about it. So I might as well burn it and eliminate a danger. It's a hazard to us, it's a hazard to our animals, it's a hazard to things we have around here, tack room, hitching post, round pen, etc. And it is a fire hazard as well. So we need to get it down and put it to good use as firewood. So today I'm gonna cut it down, and I'm gonna use two different chainsaws. They're sitting back here. I got these two saws. This is a old Stihl 056 AV, an old clunker that I kind of just kept it going, replaced a few parts here and there. Pretty heavy, but it's got a nice long bar. I can cut pretty much anything around here, at least with this size bar. So, and it's perfect for this tree right here. We'll get this real easy cut down and then chopped up with this saw. So why have a little saw? Well, this is super lightweight. This is actually made for tree climbers, so it's got the hook on it, so they can hook it to the belt, climb up the tree. And it's got a little tiny short bar. Can be used one-handed. They recommend not to do so, but it could be. And with this little saw, I can go through and limb the tree real easy. So there's not much danger when I work with this and just chop off all those limbs on the tree. With this, pretty heavy, pretty long bar, you can get into trouble real easy. With this one, super lightweight, and can't really get into trouble with this thing. So that's what I use to cut the limbs off. And sometimes I also like to mark the log so that I can have the perfect length round, because from about here to here is about the length I need. I'm looking for roughly 24 inches for me. Most people do like 16. I look more for 24 because my boiler can easily use a 24-inch log. So this is about the length, so I just set it on the log, mark, get an idea where I'm at, mark it real quick and move on and mark it through, and then use the big saw to actually buck the log into my 24-inch pieces. Well, let's get started. I got some other equipment around here. Got a little axe that I mostly basically use as hammer. Got some old worn out wedges here. We're trying to get this tree to fall in the right direction, so we hammer some wedges in to make that happening. Now let's look a little closer at the tree, and I'm going to point out a few issues here. So this tree on the bottom looks relatively straight, but as we go up we can see a little curve, and then higher up we can even see more, and you can see it's completely dead up there. All these needles are brown and gone, but it is curved in a couple different ways. And so let's look at it from another side here. And on the bottom it looks relatively straight, but it leans kind of towards the right. And then as we go up, it bends, and up there you can see it's got a bend in it and goes way to the left. So it's leaning downhill a little bit, but it's also leaning uphill. Now let's go over to again another side here. And then if we look from here, we can see again this bend right there. It starts going to the right. Maybe here a little bit better. So it kind of leans towards the left, then right about there it starts going to the right and leans away from us. So it is a pretty tricky tree to cut down the way it is leaning. And the big problem here also is right over the pen, right down there we have our hitching post, and that's where we gotta go. And we have a tree right here, we have a tree right here, and we got these trees right behind it right there. We got these trees, so we got to come in somehow in between those trees without going over there and hitting the hitching post. So that will be a little tricky, and it is a relatively tall tree. It will easily reach that hitching post, so we hope not. It may be rotten on the top. In case it does, we may not get too much damage. But the trees over there are really close, so I'm hoping we're going down really close without going over. Alrighty, the tree came down perfect. It tipped over after it hit the ground, but let me show you. So right here we got the tree stump, and you can see the tree is a little bit over, just about 2 feet over, but it did that after it fell. And you can see there it's laying right next to the hitching post, but it did not touch the hitching post when it fell. It actually fell over about here, and then it rolled. It just did a roll after it landed because of the way it's bent. So it came down perfect, came down super easy, didn't even need any wedges to make it fall. It was leaning enough that direction, and it's a great feeling to have it down. All right, so 2 minutes of excitement, and now the real work begins. We got to use the little chainsaw. The little chainsaw doesn't have a handle back here to put your foot in, so you just start it in your hands. All right, so that was it for felling a tree, limbing a tree, and bucking a tree. And all this was still the easy work. Now it gets even harder, because now we gotta load up those rounds and we gotta split them and then stack them. So, and then we gotta clean up all the slash as well. And we are actually burning all that slash in our boiler as well. We're not just gonna burn it on in a bonfire or anything. We're actually using all the slash for heat as well. So we collect it, stack it with the rounds and everything, and then burn that too. So yeah, I wish I could have used an electric chainsaw to do all this, but there's no electric chainsaw out there yet that really does this, at least not one that is affordable. And so if I look at the cheapest chainsaw, it's only like a 18-inch, about the size of my little one, and it's at Harbor Freight for $200 plus a battery plus a charger. Then you're about $300. And the little chainsaw, I think I paid $500 for. The big one I actually got for free. I just had to put a little labor and a couple parts in it that were like $60. And you could see that the big one makes easy work of those big rounds, no problem. That bigger chain cuts super fast. The smaller chainsaws with the smaller chain, they cut super slow. So you need a big chain to make this go by here. Today we only have this tree, but if we're going actually logging for firewood in the woods, then we don't want to just drive out there for one tree. We're going out there for like 3, 4, 5 trees, depending on how big they are and how much firewood we can get out of them. But we want to make a short process of that. We don't want to spend days and days logging firewood and driving for and back all the time. It needs to be done, and needs to be done quick. And that's the reason I'm still using gas chainsaws and not electrical. If anybody out there knows, if you know of a good electric chainsaw that can handle a job like this in the same amount of time that one can afford, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know if you used an electric chainsaw before and what your experiences are with them. I'm really interested. Like I said, what I've seen so far is they're mainly small, expensive, and really cannot do the job yet without actually destroying itself if you want to go and really work hard with it. So, and I'm certainly willing to try a good chainsaw that can do the job, but it has to be efficient. That is still important. So in any event, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a thumbs up for this video, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.